Good evening and welcome to the Star Chamber Show live podcast. It is a great Wednesday evening here in Lexington, Kentucky, where I, Stephen Zimmer, am broadcasting from for episode number 475. Yes, folks, we are getting closer and closer to the 500 episode milestone. And we have a great show for you tonight with an absolutely fantastic guest coming up just shortly. And joining me, of course, in the co-hosting chair is the one and only, the vivacious, the loquacious, and the audacious Holly Phillippe. And she'll be joining me in just a few minutes. She's up in Indiana, and she was just getting settled before the show to log on. So she will be joining us in progress. And, of course, the chat room is open and functioning. So, yes, come on in. Leave comments, leave questions, all that kind of good stuff. And looks like some of our favorite listeners are already coming into the house. We've got Moon, yes, the one and only D.L. Hearn. And we've got, of course, the one and only, the mighty McCorkle, Amy McCorkle, award-winning screenwriter, filmmaker, and author. And yes, it looks like, yeah, we're getting live in the chat room. All right, so yeah, I'll be checking out those comments here, and I think she is just coming aboard right now, as a matter of fact. And yes, I did say it. Vivacious, loquacious, and audacious Holly Phillippe. There she is.
I'm here.
There you. Then you sound good all the way in Indiana. So your connection is good. That's good because you're
well. That's good. I'm glad. I'm a tarred puppy.
Well, I'm about to give you a reason to be even more excited. Dan Clefstad is in the chat room.
I seen that. Hello, Dan.
The one, the
Dan
only
the
Dan
man.
Clefstad. Dan the man. Yes, he is.
And I think Miss Amy Corkle's in there.
Corkle. Yep, I said. And of
Yes,
course,
I see
Moon's in
Amy.
there.
And we have an Ann Joe. I'm not sure.
Yes. That is. I think that's tonight's guest. So
That
we'll hold
might
off for
be.
just
And
a
then
minute.
Mr.
Just a
Moon.
minute.
Hello, Moon.
Just a minute, yeah, because we're gonna give a grand introduction when it's time for the guest segment of the show. But we have had a heck of a last week, Holly, in terms of Imaginarium world.
Boy, oh boy.
Have we ever? We have had guest applications pouring in. We've had the most submissions on the film festival side that we've ever had in the kickoff month. It is crazy.
We had 17 in one day.
Yeah, there were 17 submissions in one day.
That's insane.
It is crazy. I mean, I can't. It is not the normal as far as like what the pattern has been each year. I mean, we've just been getting a lot of submissions, applications. Everything's going great. So yes, keep on spreading the word, folks, because of course Star Chamber Show is affiliated with the Imaginarium Convention. So in the first segment, we like to keep you up to date on all the latest news. And I'm telling you, I've got so many announcements to get out because we've just had so many great ones come in. So bear with me, folks, because I have quite a few guests to share with you. And last week, I think we did mention that, of course, the first announced guest is the one and only filmmaker, screenwriter, author, and editor, multi-award winner, I should say, James Sabata, who, of course, is behind some of the best panels you'll ever be seeing at any convention nationwide.
Yes, I'm going to be working with Mr. Sabata.
His stuff is so fun. Yeah. And then tonight's guest was announced also last week. Well, but I'm gonna hold off on that because we're gonna give our guest a grand announcement here in just a few minutes. And our guest is on deck, so I know they've logged in, so we're ready. Then we also had editor and publisher and author Stephen H. Provost announced, and he is awesome. And his first time at Imaginarium was last year. Really enjoyed meeting him, and he had a great time and is coming back. And then this week, I mean, we've got a lot. We had author, artist, and poet Darlene Franklin Campbell, super talented artist and author, by the way. We also had author and literary agent Ritu Anand. Came aboard last week as official panelist. And as I just mentioned, the man himself, the one and only last year's keynote speaker, Dan Clefstad, author, publicist, and podcaster extraordinaire. And of course, they had, of course, a new episode of Vamp Chat with Dan and Eva tonight on Podbean. So, yeah, after you check out the show here tonight, go over there and check that out if you didn't catch the live episode, because, yeah, they're awesome. I'm telling you, that is one awesome show. Then we also announced author Jennifer L. Barnes is returning. She wasn't there last year, but has been a panelist with us in previous Imaginariums. Welcome back, Jennifer. We also had author and book blogger Lynn Slaughter, who is a member of the Derby Rotten Scoundrels. Yes, that awesome group that's affiliated with the Sisters in Crime. Yes, she is back. We announced award-winning editor, Bram Stoker award-winning editor, actually two-time Bram Stoker award winner, and author Michael Nost is returning as Toastmaster for the third time. So now he's a third of the way to the Tony Acree level, Holly, because Tony did it for 9 years. So now Michael is up to 3, so he's now a third of the way there. Then we also another Bram Stoker award winner, author, screenwriter, filmmaker, and musician John Palisano, who is just an amazing guy. Amazing guy. We are so excited to have John back. Of course, he is definitely an Imaginarium favorite. Absolutely. For the first time as a panelist, we welcome author Annette Miller. And then we also have back another Imaginarium favorite as a panelist, author, actor, graphic designer, and musician, S. Cinders, and she is absolutely awesome. Yeah, great writer. And then we also welcome back award-winning best-selling author, editor, and publisher Jason Cordova. Yes, and he's an associate editor with Baen Books, and so we're real thrilled to have Jason returning. Of course, love to have any of the folks from Baen Books with us. Of course, a great independent publisher. Then we also have today we had some really big announcements. We had award-winning best-selling author Diane Mills is back as a spotlighted guest, and yes, that is the Diane Mills who was our guest of honor in 2024. And go to her page on the Imaginarium site, her guest page, and check out the list of awards that she has won.
She is amazing.
It is
She is
crazy.
absolutely amazing. And she is so sweet, and she
Yeah,
loves to share information.
yeah,
Loves it.
yeah.
She says she figures, you know, she's old, and she says I'm old, and I'm not going to be around forever. I want to share my knowledge.
Yes, and those are her words, folks. Yes, I
That's
also
her
heard them.
words, not
That's
mine.
her words. Yeah. To me, I mean, she's got more fire and energy than people, 20-year-olds. I mean,
Yeah,
she
she
is
does.
a
She
ball of
does.
fire, and I mean, she has won. I mean, amazing. I mean, she's won Christie Awards, CeeLo Awards, Golden Scroll Awards, Carol Awards, and I mean, she has just won numerous major
Yeah,
awards.
it's
And
insane. She's
she
sweet.
writes action-packed, suspense-filled novels is what her area is. Also has written a number of nonfiction books and has numerous collections too, but over 50 novels. So yeah, a great guest to have and back. And then we also welcomed aboard today from the Ground Up Books as an official sponsor. Yes, the one and only Lynn Tincher, her great bookstores up in LaGrange and Shepherdsville, Kentucky. They are a main sponsor now of Imaginarium, and thrilled to have them aboard. And that's, of course, that's for Pen Crafters Mentorship Program, and then a number of other writing support or author support services are hosted at From the Ground Up Books. So definitely check out their site at fromthegroundupbooks.com. And then last but not least, we announced another pair of panelists just before the show, a couple hours before the show. They're author Andrea Jones, and that is her first visit to Imaginarium as a panelist, and also making their Imaginarium debut as actor, audiobook narrator, and voiceover artist Anna Delphine. So really excited. As you see from all these guests we've announced just in the last few days, I mean, we've got returning faces, new faces, even a returning guest of honor who's coming as a spotlighted guest this time. I mean, it is crazy, Holly.
It's,
It's
I don't know what's going on, but keep it up, people. I
yeah,
tell you, we're on fire.
It's keep it, yeah, and I've got my queue of announcements is about a mile long. I mean, we get tomorrow. We're gonna have at least 2 or 3 rounds of
Well, and
announcements.
I'm
Friday we're gonna
noodling
have
through some more stuff, and I'll have a
crazy,
bunch more
yeah.
stuff for you too. And I've even, guys, I'm even got workshops that I'm already
You,
getting ready to add. I mean, this is insane. I have never ever started workshops and stuff, but they're
August.
getting. I have to be so picky and choosy with them that the sooner you get them in, the better. Because
Mhm.
yeah, I'm just
Yep.
gonna run out of placement. I have to save some for our guest of honor and all those people. And yeah, we just have such great submissions for workshops. I wish I could do them all.
Okay, I'm gonna submit one right now. I want to see a roast of Dan Klefstad hosted by Eva and Holly. There's my submission.
That would be a blast.
That would be great. Oh my god, I know Dan's going. Oh god, oh there's Steven's humor. Oh man, there he goes again.
That
But
would be
yes,
a blast.
yes, Dan, you know me well. That's
Yeah,
too good.
like Moon says, we'll get a roast in there eventually because they were wanting
Yeah,
to do me this year,
roast,
but then
roast
Sabata
you. Yeah,
couldn't come. And so they
yeah.
couldn't roast me this year. So maybe Moon, maybe, we get with old Sabata and you guys can roast me this year. So we'll see.
We'll see. That would be well attended. I can guarantee you. It'd be really well attended. Oh man. So is there any other news you have on things, Holly?
Oh,
Before
not right this second. I mean, I'm in Indiana, folks. Again, I'm going to be here till the 10th of September this time, well, 11th. Um, my mother had to have hand surgery, and they thought it was a cyst, but it wasn't. It was a tumor. So now they had to send it off. Hopefully, it's not cancer or anything, but she's not allowed to submerge her hand in water or anything. And she's got to keep her pressure bandage on till Sunday. I take it off, but she did real good. But she's 90, and I'm here having to help. And
all
then I had
right.
to take my granddaughter to the hospital earlier after we got back from taking mom. I, I had to run my granddaughter because my granddaughter got into some kind of, they don't think it's poison ivy, but she got into something and she's allergic to everything anyway. And so she's got breakout on her face. So, oh God, but they just ordered her a steroid cream. So I got all kinds of stuff going on, guys.
Yeah,
And I'm doing emails
never a
and
dull
talking to
moment.
you, beautiful
Yeah.
people.
Yes. But yes, we're definitely thrilled to be here. Glad Holly, is getting a little break from the chaos in Indiana, and uh, and yes, I want to give a shout out to LJ Mack, and I think that would be Christine Burgess in the chat room. Yes, great
Hey,
to see her.
Christine.
And then we
Hello,
have
hello.
and then we do have Vamp Chat with Dan and Eva, the official podcast in the chat room in here as well. So
We
it's it's
do, and
just
I think
it's just a
I
full
think
house.
that's yeah.
Yeah, it
Eva's in
is.
there.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so Eva may have heard my idea. Yeah, Eva and Holly roasting Dan Cloudstad. Yeah, that's my workshop submission. So that's it. So yes.
Eva said she has too much insider
Yeah.
information.
Yep. That'll be
That's the whole
great.
point, Eva. That's
That,
the whole point.
that that's the whole point. And all right, well, we are going to give you. We're getting close to our guest segment, so we are going to recognize the folks that brought you tonight's show, and it's, of course, League of Elders series with Ren Garcia and Sandy Linder, the genre blender. But we'll start with Ren with the famous question.
The League of Elder dares to be unusual. It's easy to be swept away in this bold and uninhibited landscape where fantastic heroes become old friends and sinister villains inhabit every dark corner. Dare to explore things best left alone. Each book is your lantern, lighting the path to a world never before seen. So what do you say? Are you weird enough for us?
Indeed, we are.
Indeed, we are, Ren. Indeed, we are. So yes, thank you, Ren, very much. Great author, great guy. Check that series out. Well worth it. Now on to Sandy Linder, the genre blender, with a little bit from her on Sandy Says Read channel. Subscribe to it, folks. It's free.
Start Chamber listeners already know that author Sandy Lender offers you a variety of spec fiction and epic fantasy adventures to help you escape reality. Did you know she also offers positive, quirky book discussions and reviews on her BookTube channel, Sandy Says Read? Check out the Sandy Says Read channel on YouTube for over 600 book chats to entertain you. The channel includes the Indie Book Spotlight and the DIY for Creatives playlists, along with others to help you find videos and essays that pique your literary interests. Subscribe for free to the Sandy Says Read channel in time for the Monday night upload and join the community where our motto is, you can always find something good in a book.
Thank you, Sandy. You are the best, and we appreciate you. And definitely check out her YouTube channel. It's a good one. And now I'm going to go straight into our introduction because we're running about a minute behind because, of course, we had about 1 billion announcements to share with you in the first segment, which I do hope you all enjoyed. But yes, tonight's guest is coming on to the show for the very first time. And she is the author of the Hook and Jill Saga and also is the editor of a classics restoration program. In tribute to J.M. Barrie, she returned the story that will never grow old to its 1911 origins in Peter and Wendy, the restored text. So it's my honor and pleasure to bring aboard on the Star Chamber show for the first time and an Imaginarium guest for the first time next summer, the one, the only, Andrea Jones. And Andrea, your mic should be on now.
Good evening. Hello.
Good evening.
Hello.
You certainly know how to make an author feel welcome. Thank you.
You're
Will
welcome.
we try?
We do try. We like I always say, what you get with us is very real. We may not be the slickest, but we will always be very genuine. So,
Well, as you know, I live and work in Neverland, and the internet connection isn't always so good here. So if I drop out, I'll come back as soon as possible.
well, thank you for the heads up because it happens. I mean, we've had shows where we've had active tornadoes happening in the area, and we're down to just like one, just running it off of a mobile phone. And we have been through a lot
Yeah,
of
we've
adventures.
had to go to the same room
Oh,
together because the electrics went out. We've
yeah,
been in the
electric's gone
dark, and
out.
and we've just had to go to the same room together, put it on a speaker, and do
Yep.
it that way. And you never
Live
know.
live broadcasting is always an adventure. So, but hey, that makes it sometimes more fun, right? So,
Absolutely true. I used to work in television, and I know exactly what you're talking about.
oh, I also have a bit of a television background, and yeah, I understand that chaos as well too, for sure. But yeah, tell her. I know a little bit about you and already, and of course, yeah, Holly does, and of course, we've looked, into all your work. But the audience is meeting you for the first time, so if you could, yeah, share a little bit about yourself with the audience, and we reference Neverland and all that, that'd be great. And then we'll get into the discussion.
All right. I am the author of the Hook and Jill Saga. This is a series of Neverland novels intended to bring adult readers back into Neverland because, as I always say, Neverland is too good for just children to enjoy.
That's true.
And as I did my research for the Hook and Jill Saga, I discovered that modern publishers had tampered with J.M. Barrie's classic work. The original Peter Pan story, the classic story, it used to be called Peter and Wendy. We now have shortened it up to Peter Pan. But I found that there were discrepancies between two different copies that I had that were supposedly the same story. One of them said the crocodile she, and the other said the crocodile he. And I thought, something is wrong in Neverland. Something has been tampered with. And it turned out that somewhere between 1950 and 1960, some publisher altered a few little words here and there. Now, you would think that wouldn't be very important, but one or two were important. And so I got a first edition from 1911, and I reproduced
Wow.
it. I transcribed it exactly word for word, comma for comma, the way J.M. Barrie released it in 1911 in London. And of course, that was my excuse to buy a first edition.
It's a
Nice.
business
Yeah.
expense.
Exactly right. And so it was a delightful exercise. And to answer the question, because I know you're burning with curiosity, the
Mhm.
crocodile was a female, according to J.M. Barrie. And
Really?
yes, and J.M. Barrie, he was all about female empowerment. Excuse me. He adored
Wow.
women. He adored women. He was very charismatic. He attracted women. All those actresses that were in the plays were just drawn to him. Uh, and he did marry, but the crocodile was female because he admired women. And when you look at the situation, of course, the crocodile is the thing that kills the very powerful villain, Captain Hook. And if you change that and make it into a male, you are changing something that J.M. Barrie was trying to tell the little girls who were visiting Neverland, that they too can be powerful. They can slay the enemy. And I think it's a crime to tamper with a classic work of literature in the first place, but
Right.
to change something that fundamental,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
I couldn't stand for it. So I fixed it.
So do you think, is this where they get, because stage plays and everything, uh females always played Peter Pan.
Yes, yes.
So is that where the gender bending come to be?
Actually,
Do you
no.
think?
The
No.
reason that yeah, there were several reasons why a female had to play Peter Pan. One, the most technical issue was that children were not allowed on stage in England after 9 o'clock.
Oh.
So if they were going to have they wanted a small person to play Peter, of course, and so of course that meant all the children had to be, you know, adults, and so they chose the smallest person they can find, and that was an actress. And secondly, when the actress everyone wanted to be in a J.M. Barrie play, he was Johnny Depp played him in Finding Neverland, and we can talk
Hmm.
about that later. But uh, J.M. Barrie in his time was just as popular, just as in demand as Johnny Depp now. And so all the actresses wanted to be in a J.M. Barrie play. And when you read the play, you understand that Wendy isn't the juicy role, it's Peter. So everyone was clamoring to be in the play, and so they did cast a woman, and that just became a tradition. And so the other question people ask me in the same line is, why is Mr. Darling and Captain Hook played by the same actor so frequently? And neither of these things had anything to do with Barry's playwriting or his planning. It was that each theater had a troupe of actors. And I don't know if you've ever seen Topsy Turvy, but you see in the Gilbert and Sullivan production they were putting on, they had the troupe that worked for the theater, were regular actors for the theater, not like nowadays where you audition and you get in maybe. So they had a number of actors. It turned out that Mr. Darling and Captain Hook are never on stage at the same time. So Gerald du Maurier, Daphne du Maurier's father, was the first man to play Captain Hook and Mr. Darling. So that has nothing to do with psychology, although
Hmm.
we can play with that theory if we want. But did that answer your question?
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And yeah,
So what was, I have to ask then? So did the crocodile have a name? Did it have a female name in the original 1911? Because I don't know much about that one.
No, it did not have a name. It was the crocodile.
Just the crocodile. Okay.
Mhm, mhm. Disney calls it TikTok.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I was
yeah.
wondering. Yeah, yeah, if it had a name.
Mhm.
Huh.
And of course, J.M. Barrie, in his many descriptions, or his lovely, concise descriptions of each of his characters, with Hook, he says he flinched at nothing but the sight of his own blood, and that makes a rather humorous element because whenever the crocodile is around, he doesn't want to see his own blood, and in the
Right.
original story, he takes off as soon as possible whenever the crocodile is near because he doesn't wish to view his own blood.
Now, did
Now,
did
in
you?
my story, I have revised it so that It is intended for adults, and we know Captain Hook is everything that J.M. Barrie made him in my story, and more so. So when the crocodile comes around in my story, Captain Hook goes after him. He doesn't run away, he attacks.
Hmm. Yeah, I
Just
think that. Yeah, that definitely would kind of match what I would think for a character like Captain Hook. And
Yes.
did you what other kind of uh, things did you do a little differently than the original in your version
Yes, there are
to
a few
give it a little?
things. I stayed as true to J.M. Barrie's vision of the Neverland as I could. I did have to change a few things to make it a grown up story. Let's take Mr. Smee, for instance. In the original story, of course, he provides comic relief. He's a,
right.
bu- he's a buffoon, he's a clown. And in my story, I found that because Captain Hook is so intelligent and so manipulative, his right hand man, literally his right hand, is Mr. Smee. And he has to be smart enough to follow Hook's cues and to help him set up his little machinations. So I made Mr. Smee into a big strapping Irishman, and I've had no complaints.
I
Nice.
love it. I love it.
Another thing I had to change in the original story, everyone loves Peter, of course, and the three
Hmm.
females who love him are Tinkerbell, Wendy, and
Wendy.
Tiger Lily. But I did
Yeah.
not need that third distraction of Tiger Lily in my story. What I did need was an Earth Mother. So I have made Tiger Lily into Lily, who is a grown up Indian woman, and she is a true mother. If on the island we have Wendy, who is the faux mother of the lost boys, we have Smee, who is, I like to think, the mother of the pirates.
Hmm.
And then, so Lily functions as the true mother in my story, and she stands for tolerance and acceptance. And so that is what I need, and that I changed.
Oh, nice, nice. Yeah,
Wow.
always loved the Tiger Lily character. Yeah, grow as a kid. So yeah, I'd
Oh,
love
yes.
to see this evolution in your work. And yeah, it sounds very intriguing.
Thank you.
What are some of the yeah, some of the things about the rest of the cast, like the Lost Boys and everything? That what'd you do with them? I'm curious.
Yes, I have, of course, the original cast is all in my story. And because the very first line of the Peter Pan story, Peter and Wendy, is all children except one grow up. So, right from the start, we
Uh,
know that there's going to be conflict because all those children are growing against Peter Pan's rules. So,
Hmm.
as we have the Lost Boys, I took it upon myself to discover their proclivities, as does Captain Hook. He learns about the boys and what are their tendencies. What do they want to be when they grow up? And so he uses those things to in the original book they said Peter thins the Lost Boys out when they get too big, and you can put any interpretation on that as you want, but even Hook decides he needs to thin out those boys, so he finds what's going to distract them from being Peter's henchmen.
Hmm. And as far as the historical timeline in your writing, did you do the classics restoration before you got into this saga, or where did the two fall, the two projects?
I relied very heavily on Peter and Wendy to create my story, and when I found those discrepancies, it was after Hook and Jill had come out. I can't remember if it was 2015, so it was after both
Mhm.
Hook and Jill and Other Oceans Book 2 had come out, and I said, this really needs to be fixed. This needs to be corrected, and
Mhm.
so I did that, and then 2 years later, Other Islands Book 3 came out.
Oh wow, yeah. So you did the restoration in after your series was already underway, and
Yes.
so did that in any way cause you to change a little course for the third book, or did it do anything different for you, or were you already pretty much in that flow?
No, I would say everything. I was trying, as I said, there's a lot of prequels and sequels and spin-offs and
Mhm.
movies
Yeah.
and TV shows,
Yeah.
and most of them will change the story in fundamental ways. I did not want to do that, and J.M. Barrie would be the first one to say, "Play with the story." But I chose not to do that, and so I had already been pretty committed to that original script.
So, how did you feel about the Disney adaptation? I'm just curious because that's the popular one that everybody thinks of, and when you bring up
Yes.
this, and what were your thoughts? And when did you see it as a kid, and did you have and then later on, did you have a different
Hmm.
opinion? What's the history with you in the Disney version?
I don't recall watching it too much as a child. I did. I grew up with the Mary Martin version, and so when the Disney version came on, I have seen it. I had seen it, but now looking at it as an adult, I see that while it's a lot of fun, um, it's embarrassing to me to see how the indigenous people are portrayed. Now, J.M. Barrie,
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
yeah, in his original story, he treats everyone with the same ridicule. He is merciless on everyone. So there's no one group. The pirates, the parents, the
Hmm.
children, the Indians, they all get the treatment from J.M. Barrie. He is very tongue in cheek, very witty, and it's a pleasure to read it. And so when you look at the Disney version, you see, eh, it's a little uncomfortable now.
Hmm.
Yes.
And so
Yes. Yeah,
what I
for today's yeah. Yeah,
yes,
it is. It
and what I
is.
did with the indigenous is that I did study. I did my research on
Uh,
that line of research. I had to do a lot of different kinds of research. I had to do sailing research and J.M. Barrie research and the indigenous, et cetera, et cetera. But what I did then was I took the characters that he gave us, all of them, and I made them three dimensional.
Hmm.
So I gave
Well,
them all full characters now, rather than these kind of
well,
cardboard cutouts.
right. And I do have to ask, what was your take on like Robin Williams, the
Ah,
character with
all right.
Hook?
I have so many people who come to me and say, "Oh, I just loved Hook. I loved that movie. It was so wonderful. I watched it every day as a
Well,
child."
it's Robin Williams. We
Yes,
love Robin
and of
Williams.
course,
That's what it
he,
is.
who could do it better than Robin
Right.
Williams? Who could play that part with even a quarter of the talent that he had? Marvelous, marvelous talent. Of course, Dustin Hoffman. We all love him.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
You
Yes.
know,
Oh, he
this
was
is
great. He
I
was
was gonna
yeah,
say
good.
you had no slouch there. Yeah,
no.
No.
yeah.
So this is one of those shows that changed the story fundamentally,
Uh-huh.
uh,
Mhm.
because Peter grows up, and of course, as I just quoted,
Right.
the first line says, "All children except one grow up," but
Oh
that's fine.
well.
It's fine because it works. But my favorite line in the movie is where Wendy says, "Peter, you've become a pirate," and that that is so true to J.M. Barrie. J.M. Barrie himself understood that Peter was both the protagonist and the antagonist. And in
Yes.
fact, when he first wrote the play in 1904, he planned it so that Peter would play both parts. He didn't even have Captain Hook in mind. They staged it, but it just didn't stage well. So, off the cuff, J.M. Barrie comes up with Captain Hook, who is the literary pirate of all time. He was
Yeah.
an afterthought. And I always point this out to my readers. This is how brilliant Barrie was.
Hmm.
just an afterthought.
Unreal. And he's
Yeah. So
such a great character. I mean,
Oh,
geez.
I
Such a
adore.
fundamental part of the story.
Yes, yes.
We
I
just
adore.
can't imagine it being the same without that character.
Hmm.
no, no, I
But yeah,
couldn't.
I was
Yeah.
curious what you thought of that because yeah, it takes a little different spin
Hmm.
than the older Disney did
Yeah.
with it.
And of course, as everyone knows, I'm not giving any spoilers here. The Captain Hook at the end of Peter and Wendy is dead. So they had to come with up. What is Neverland without Captain Hook? They had to come up with some way to resurrect the captain. so that he could be in conflict with Peter once again.
Mhm.
Nice.
So
Nice.
that was
Yeah.
magic. That was magic. I have no problem with that.
No, there's an undercurrent, if you will, of magic, yeah, all throughout that story, though. So it
Yes.
fits. It definitely
It
fits,
does.
and
Now, have you thought about doing a novella? You know, maybe a spinoff, doing like just Wendy, or doing a Hook, or just doing a Peter Pan like story that involves the world. Maybe he goes on this certain adventure with Tinkerbell, or does something. I mean, have you thought about doing a spinoff, like another series, or just novellas?
What I have is 5 books are planned for the series. I have written 4. There's Hook and Jill, Other Oceans, Other Islands, and The Wider World, which was just released last summer. Between
Okay.
The Wider World and the next book that I'm writing right now, which is called The Ever After End, in which I will tie up the whole series, between those 2 books, book 4 and 5, there is a space of years. So, if after I have finished writing the entire series, I come up with more adventures to fit in between books 4 and 5, I am able to do that.
nice, nice,
I think the
and
Outlander series did that. I think the Diana Gambledon did that with Outlander. I think she put in some uh, extra new characters, etc., in the same series,
Yeah.
which is fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah, she did. Yep.
yeah, I was gonna say, now you're speaking Holly's language. She that's
Yes.
like her
Yes.
favorite show on
Oh,
TV.
it's
Yes.
marvelous.
And I've not read all the books yet, and I could just kick myself for that. And I hate to even admit that,
Oh,
because
but you can look forward to it.
I'll say I absolutely adore the show. I'm watching Blood of My Blood, Blood. I
Mm.
can't even get it out now, but the new one, I'm watching it, Blood of My Blood now, at the spinoff. And I wrote Diana a couple times trying to get her to Imaginarium. It's just not worked out yet, but I,
Ah,
I I just love her, and I cannot wait to eventually read the books. But being in our business like we are, my to read pal is massive, and then you, and then I get Stephen King kick. He starts spitting out new ones, and I'm like, oh
Yeah,
geez, because he's one of my favorites,
and
and I'm
Andy
like,
came out with one named Holly, and he came out with a book called
yeah,
Holly.
I
So
had to
there you
stop. I
go.
had to read Holly, of course,
Yeah,
which gets me down to Mr. Mercedes kick and all that. So yeah,
yeah,
it's tough, but yes, I
well,
I do love the whole taking. We talk about this often, the B characters, right? And doing
yes,
spinoffs and doing novellas, and taking it, because your B character, you might not think, oh, it's that important right now, but down the line, that B character becomes very important,
exactly.
because that voice starts speaking louder and louder and louder.
Mhm.
Yeah, and you've got another spinoff.
That's right. I see in the notes here someone is talking about Barry's brother David, and in the beginning of Peter and Wendy, in my editor's note, I have written an essay about how the story Peter and Wendy was inspired within J.M. Barrie's own life, and I call it a gift of ghosts. And it is all about how his brother, who died at the age of, it was just the day before he turned 14, in a skating accident, and how that loomed large in Barry's life. And so that is also in the beginning of Peter and Wendy. And I also put in a timeline of how Peter evolved over J.M. Barrie's long writing career. He didn't play with Peter just once or twice. He played with him for years before he wrote the play in 1904.
hmm,
It's fascinating.
Oh, Barrie was a fascinating man. I recommend his biography by Andrew Birkin called J.M. Barrie and the Lost Boys, full of very interesting information, and it all influences my stories.
Now that's going to have to be added to my
yeah. I
mountain.
was gonna say mine
Because
too,
now,
mine too.
because I absolutely adore the whole mythos around it. So I'm like, now I got to know more.
And there's so much about this story that isn't just for children. The original story
Yeah.
was not, it's not just a children's book. There's so much material about the parents thinking and feeling. Of course, their children disappear. they go into Neverland, and so that leaves Mr.
Right.
and Mrs. Darling,
Hmm.
Yeah, their children are gone. They're mourning.
right,
They're, yeah,
right.
they're upset. And
So
then just like,
meanwhile,
oh, well, they disappeared and they're fine. They fell off the face of the earth and they're
right, and
fine.
they don't have any cares for their parents. They just go off and have fun. But in my story, then,
Yeah.
of course, I deal with what happens when they're in Neverland, and it is a what if story because uh, what if Wendy and the Lost Boys begin to grow against Peter Pan's rules? There are consequences from Peter, and of course, Hook requires his revenge. What better way for him to seek his revenge against Peter than through Wendy?
Hmm.
Oh,
Nice.
And if Wendy is
Yeah.
growing up, that puts her in some peril where the pirates are concerned.
Yes.
indeed.
Yes, that would be the case. Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, definitely gonna. I gotta check this out. I am intrigued. Definitely.
Glad
Yeah.
Yes,
to know.
definitely.
Yeah, because a lot of you're right. A lot of the classic stories that typically you think of are for kids, even like Grimm's fairy tales, things like that. I mean, they often do have some very dark edges, adult
Yes.
elements, all kinds of things. And yeah, when you go back and really look at them, and
And people frequently say to me, when I show them the original story, they say, "Oh, that's really dark, isn't it? Peter kills the boys." And I always want to correct people. What J.M. Barrie did, this was his genius, was that he would give you an idea and let your imagination run with it. So the darkest sentence in the whole story is when the boys got too big, Peter thinned them out, as I referred to earlier, and that means anything you want it to mean. Perhaps they go to the mainland again. Perhaps they join the pirates. Perhaps they go to the Indians. Or
Mhm.
does Peter kill them? Does he off them? That's on you. If you think that that's what he does, that's not J.M. Barrie. But this was, again, his talent was to make your imagination just burn.
Mhm. And I have to say I am grateful to you for taking the other direction of restoring the original text
Thank
because
you.
we
Yeah.
did an episode and it really burned me up when stories started coming out about like Roald Dahl, the author of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and it happened also to Arthur C. Clarke and others, where the publishers just decided they didn't want to have certain things, and so they just arbitrarily changed the text and these deceased authors that have they're very classic works, and I love to see things in their historical context because
Yes.
they're written at a time, they reflect a time, and
Yes.
so I love the fact that you took the pains of going back to actually restore the original text.
Yes.
I mean,
Thank you.
definitely
And
kudos
if
on that.
anyone changes my stories after I'm dead, I will haunt them.
Yes, I feel the
Be
same way.
prepared. Yeah.
Oh, I feel the same way with all my work. Yeah, absolutely.
It's
And
bad enough that
yeah,
AI is stealing all of
No.
the work.
Yes.
You don't
Yeah.
need people screwing with your story content.
It is
right,
terrible. So we don't need humans to be doing it too.
That's
right,
exactly right.
right. What was the response to? I'm sure it was very positive, but what was the response to you doing the restorative work?
Well, I find that my readers they highly respect that I have done this. It puts a dimension of seriousness into my work, and Hook and Jill is a serious parody of the Peter Pan story, in which I question: is it truly desirable to remain a child, or is it perhaps a greater adventure after all to grow up? So I want readers to take a serious look at the premise of the original story and think
Mhm.
about it. And so I find that once I show them that, yes, I'm so serious about it that I did restore the original story, then people do
Mhm.
realize I'm in this for real. Even though it's Neverland, you can scoff, you can say, oh, you can, how can that be a serious topic? But it is because I deal with all kinds of social issues in this story. Captain Hook is quite the philosopher.
Mhm.
um, he says shame will not tutor you nor satisfy me. Experience will do that, and that's a plug for growing up. having experiences, becoming an adult. And so that's one of the things he says. He also says, uh, we're talking about desire, and people believe desire is a bad thing. It's a negative thing. I do not believe that. I'm all for it. It's a natural
Yeah,
human emotion. And
yeah,
questioned, he says desire should be pursued with all our abilities. It is the elixir that brings us life, the muse who inspires our endeavors. Deny your desire, and you end your story.
that's true. And desire isn't all about, a lot of people uh, just correlate it with sexuality. That
Right.
desire goes so much more than that. You may desire a new position in your job
Yes.
currently. You may desire to take your story to a whole other level. You may desire, yeah, to win an award, whatever. I mean, there's so many more desires out
Exactly.
there. You know,
Exactly. And the sexual desire is not evil either. I
right?
deal with that, and I have quite a bit of. It is the whole concept of red-handed Jill, the pirate queen. I'll give you a little background here. Wendy enters the Neverland, and she discovers that the stories she has told to her brothers have come true there. She comes face to. She's told the story of Peter and Captain Hook. She comes face to face with Captain Hook, and she realizes, uh-oh. I am responsible for his behavior because I made him up. Now, right there, she's growing up because she's taking responsibility. But then, of course, she has told the story also of red handed Jill, the pirate queen. And the moment Wendy sets foot in Neverland, she discovers that red handed Jill begins to come to life as well. And so, to go on with what I was saying, is with red handed Jill, her hand is red for a very brazen reason, and there's nothing to be shamed of in that sexuality.
Nice,
Yep. Yeah.
nice. I love it.
So I have truly taken the story to a
A
very
new
adult
height.
level. Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
What are
You
the
have.
plans for the series? I mean, as far as the scope of it, and are you going to be doing, like Ollie had mentioned, are you going to be doing some, maybe possibly some spinoff novels, and what's the plans for the whole body of work?
The plan at this point is to finish book 5, The Ever
A
After
five.
End, and just to complete the series, to end the whole series on well, at the end my readers are going to hate me and then they're going to love me. So
Well, and then have you thought about maybe doing another series based on another author and go through their history, or was this just a labor of love for the whole story involving Peter and Wendy?
at this point, I don't have any plans. I'm so immersed in the Neverland. That is what I'm thinking
Hmm.
now. But
Hmm.
this is the fairy tale that rings true for my own life. This is my fairy tale
Okay.
because the inspiration was twofold. One is I saw the 2003 movie by Universal Pictures, Peter Pan, with Jason
Yep.
Isaacs playing Captain Hook, and he is
Hmm.
so good at being bad. You know that he played Mr. Malfoy in the Harry Potter series. He has been
Yes.
a starship captain on the Star Trek series. He
Hmm.
is the bad guy in The Patriot. No one plays Captain Hook as superbly as Jason Isaacs. And in this movie, they took the story to an adult edge. There was adult sensuality, there was adult violence, and adult sexuality, and they almost went over that edge. And then they pulled back and returned it to a children's story. And I came out of that theater saying, "What if? What if we sailed right over that cliff and made it into an adult story?" And the other thing was that Peter was played in that movie for the first time on a national scale by a real boy. And the dynamics between Peter and Wendy just took off. It was amazing. But the second part of that inspiration, the reason it is my personal fairy tale, is that I had a wonderful childhood. I was raised by loving parents, and we had a wonderful wonderful experience as children. But my parents, and I love them dearly, but they came pretty much from the Victorian age, and so there were things way back then. I was not supposed to grow up and make my own decisions. I was supposed to do as I was told, and I
Right.
would be safe and happy. And I, of course, didn't do that. I made my own decisions, and there was hell to pay. And so years later, when I was exploring this story, I realized this is exactly what I need to discuss with myself. And then this beautiful work of art was the result, and I'm ever grateful to everyone who who spurred me in this direction. So the concept is: do you do what Peter Pan tells you? Do you do what your priests, your parents, your politicians tell you? Or do you educate yourself and make your own decisions what is right and what is wrong?
Hmm.
Love
Well,
it.
yeah, I love it, and I love the fact that you've got a scholarly approach to it, and with the background and the restorative work, and then you've got the creative aspect, you've got the personal aspect. I mean, when you say immersive, I mean you've done this. This is immersive
Yes.
in a big way, and yeah, I mean that, and the fact that it's kind of like you put your own own touch to it, own signature. It sounds
Thank you.
like in this saga. So I mean,
Thanks. Yes.
and like you said, you took the story and ran with it, like like you said, Barrie would have wanted. So
Yes.
that is awesome. I mean,
One of the reviewers said this is the story of Peter Pan that J.M. Barrie couldn't write. And with all respect to Barry, I give him so much credit for all those awards. We've won 29 awards for this series so far. I'm very,
Wow.
very
Well,
pleased.
well done.
I give
well
Congratulations.
done,
him so much
congratulations.
credit because without his Neverland and his characters, I couldn't have been that successful. But yes, I have very much respect for him.
Nice. There was a question from the chat I wanted to get in here before we get too far ahead. Um, the question was concerning the shadow. And Eva was saying, here's what some people think, that the concept of Peter's shadow, which he struggles to reattach to himself, can be interpreted as a psychological
Mhm.
object that
Yes,
represents his struggle with attachment and separation, or a
yes.
more disturbing metaphor for his own dark side or repressed trauma.
Yes, I'm very glad that this listener brought this up. Hook and Jill on the surface is a pirate adventure. You go down layer by layer by layer. It is a work of literary fiction, so there's a lot of underneath material. When you get to the bottom level, it is a Jungian allegory. C.G. Jung, of course, was a student of Freud, and he created his own school of thought, and he brought up the idea that each person has a light shy side and a shadow side. So as a storyteller, one projects one's inner characters out into your story. So Wendy tells the story of Peter Pan and Captain Hook. Peter is her light side, Captain Hook is her shadow. And according to Jung, in order to become a full and whole individual, one must accept one's shadow, bring it in and integrate it. You can't cast it off the way Peter does. Peter, in Wendy's infantile thinking, is her white knight. He has no shadow. He is not a bad guy. He can do no wrong. Captain Hook, of course, can do no right. So when she starts really living and growing, she begins to understand that Hook is her dark side, and Hook, when he recognizes Wendy, when he finally confronts her, he says he sees she is his storyteller. She created him. She holds a power that he requires, and he must integrate with her, and she realizes she must integrate with him in order for each of them to become one full personality. So when Peter has that shadow split off, it's because he does not accept his darkness. And there's a lot of darkness. As I said, Barrie understood that Peter was both a protagonist and an antagonist. So when Peter ignores this dark side, it takes him over. If you don't deal with it, it will control you. So Peter's out of control. He goes around murdering people all the time. J.M. Barrie laughs. He says, "Oh, Peter would go out, and sometimes he would tell you about the adventure, and he'd killed a pirate or an Indian, and other times he wouldn't tell you, and you would go out, and then you'd stumble over the body."
But surprise.
Surprise! So Wendy and Hook must come to terms in pirate talk. They have to come to terms in order for each of them to be full personalities.
Very nice, very nice. And one question I have is, as far as the readers of the the J.M. Barrie tale, they what has their response been? The ones that have read your books, and have you heard from some of them in terms of your feedback?
I have heard
And
people say
your approach.
yes, they're very glad to have read it. And when you read the original story before reading Hook and Jill, of course you pick up all those details that J.M. Barrie gave us: the thimble and the acorn and etc., the Wendy pockets and all of that. And you understand Hook and Jill better. You do not have to read it before you read Hook and Jill, but it does make it much more enjoyable. But one reader the other day said she appreciated the introduction I had written about the gift of ghosts and how the story was inspired. And she felt, she just said it gave her goosebumps.
Yes.
So I'm
Well,
very pleased.
that's a good. That's a compliment. Yeah, that's a
Yes.
good one.
Yeah. hmm So I am looking forward to coming to Imaginarium next July. I can't wait. It sounds like a wonderful group of creative people coming together, and I'm so glad I can join in.
Yeah, we're
I'm
looking forward.
looking
Yeah,
very forward to it.
meeting you in person. Yeah, absolutely.
I would
And
love to be a presenter. I do have a wonderful concept, which I will pitch right now. Um,
Go ahead, because I'm listening.
yeah, hey, we're gonna get a scoop here on the show. All right.
Hey, y'all, you're getting a scoop. You're getting a scoop.
okay, I have received some compliments for the way I handle my love scenes, and so people have asked me, how do you do that? And I do have a program to present, and how to things like when to go all the way and when to fade to black. And
Ooh, I like.
sometimes a love scene is not about love. It's not just about sex. It may be about power and control. And
Ooh,
so that happens in my books too, in which ostensibly it's a love scene, but really, maybe we're trying to assert our dominance and control. Um, and the other is so I have how to make it interesting consistently, even if you have the same characters involved and they are making love. First of all, you have to have a purpose. To throw it in just because your readers want a love scene or a sex scene
yes,
that's what romance novels do, and I love romance novels. I'm not knocking them, but in literary fiction, it has to advance the plot.
yes,
Yes. Absolutely.
100%. You can't just throw it in out of
Right,
nowhere
right,
to add fluff. It's got to make some kind of sense, and it's got to relate to the
Yeah.
story.
right,
It has
and
to add to the story.
right. It have to move it along. Have to yeah.
Yes.
It has to show character
Yep.
or
Hmm.
move the plot or both. And
Agreed.
also, when you have the same characters making love, you don't want people to get bored with it. So what I find is to have a theme. If I have a theme, it changes it up every time.
Hmm.
So in the wider world, the last book I published, we have a theme that is let's see. I'm not going to give it away. I'm not going to give it away, but uh, a, a spell is cast during this lovemaking, which is necessary for the plot. And then the next love scene between those two same characters is the reverse. What has happened in the first spell casting is reversed so that I don't want to give too much away. But we bring it
Yeah.
back. to the way it was. So we have two mirror image love scenes, is what I'm trying to say.
Hmm.
So I have
And
a
so
lot to say about
I
that.
like this. So you're going to have to write all this up and you're going to have to send this to me
Okay.
so I can get that on the books. And
Okay.
yes, I will just need to know if you will. I'm going to let everybody know that they know this, obviously, because most of them have done workshops that are in the feed right now. A lot of them have. But I will just need to know, your approximate length and if you will
Okay.
need a projector or a dry erase board.
All
So
right. Very good.
and
yep,
and
all that
just
good
give
stuff.
me that
Yeah.
info and all that good stuff, a title and the small description there or long, it don't matter to
Yes.
me,
Well,
and
the
yeah.
title is Penning Sex Scenes Doing It Right. WRITE.
I like
Nice.
it. I like it.
Yeah,
Yes. Eh,
and that will get good attendance because not just romance authors will be interested in that.
no.
It'll attract quite a few writers
Yes,
of
Right.
because
different
even
genres.
Stephen,
Yeah,
Stephen writes, dark fantasy, and he'll
Mm,
add some in there, but it
sure. Yeah,
adds to the story.
yeah.
It's not
Not
just
frivolous. Yes,
throwing
not
it in
frivolous.
willy
Yeah.
nilly,
right.
And I've
Mhm.
read I've read books where I'm like, out of the blue, bam, they
Yeah.
throw this in, and it's like, what the hell? Where did this come from? Well, how
Yeah.
does this relate to the story? What
Right.
is the point? I don't
Well,
understand.
Yeah.
sex
Yeah.
is good, but when you throw it in with some deeper meaning and some plot details,
Yeah.
then it gets even
Implications. Yeah.
better.
Yeah.
Yeah, or it
That
makes
makes it
sense
going
to the
somewhere
character's, behavior or character
dynamic. Yeah.
or
And
whatever. They do it with TV shows and stuff too. They just throw it
right,
in there.
right, throw it in there to keep the audience. Well, of course,
Yeah,
and in the course of describing some of these things, I will have to read a few excerpts from my stories to
well, of
illustrate
course,
points. So,
of
Absolutely.
course.
Absolutely. And
But yeah,
it's
it can throw you. I mean, it could take a reader completely out of the story if it's
easily.
it is
yeah.
thrown in there just for fluff. Yeah.
And the other
Yeah.
thing to consider is when you're writing, it is embarrassing to have the first reader read those intimate scenes. It can be embarrassing. So I will tell people how to deal with, getting it to the point where you can show it to someone.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And since you did mention, we did mention, that they throw things often into visual, like television shows, movies, just to, it always seems out of place a little bit more so than I think they do sometimes in literature.
Mhm.
But now with yours, do you foresee a time when yours is going to be adapted and into a visual
Mm.
medium
It
like
would make a fabulous TV series. And I prefer that over a movie version because a movie would have to clip so much. There's so much detail that you would have to shorten it up. But with as with the Outlander series, my goodness, what a fabulous show that is! And with
Yeah.
the Hook and Jill saga, you could start with Hook and Jill, and you could go right through all 5 books and have new fresh material for for each episode, and you wouldn't have to omit some of those precious details that are just so satisfying.
right. Yeah, the television, the episodic format, I think, is a lot kinder to
Mhm.
authors and adaptations.
And people love
Definitely.
to binge, and it would make a binge
Mhm.
worthy
Yep.
program.
Mhm. Big time. And I'm trying to get Steven, so maybe you can help me. Because he loves history. He loves history. And I'm like, people hear Outlander, they think, oh, romance, romance. No, it,
No,
it involves so much history
yeah,
throughout time periods. I mean, we're
sure.
not just talking about, one moment in time. We're talking about many centuries. It
Oh, she
spans
had
across
she
and
had to do
wars.
so much research.
Yes.
I
And-
deeply respect the way she's presented this. And I have
Oh, 100.
a friend who's very into costuming and historical costuming, and she's a weaver, etc. And she looked at that show and she said they are spot on with the clothing, how they're made, what textiles they used, and all. And they've done a brilliant job.
Nice. Yeah, I love hearing that because that's one of my biggest frustrations with watching a lot of shows is the stuff that's very, anachronistic and kind of like
Mhm.
out of place. And
It
yeah,
was
No,
so
she stayed pretty, Diana's pretty much on
yeah,
it. And
yeah.
I'm trying to get Stephen to go back. I said, I'll watch the whole thing over with you again because I
Mhm.
don't have to pull my arm. So I'm
Not at
trying to
all.
get him, not at all. So I'm trying to get him to go back and watch it. But yeah.
I loved the last Indiana Jones movie. It was brilliant. It was wonderful. And the only moment that took me out of the story was when they have the bad guy in his Nazi uniform in the plane. And it's a great looking uniform, but it shines and you can tell it's made of polyester.
Yep.
Oh.
Deep
Yeah, that,
disappointment.
that's a big, that's a gaff. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, to
Yeah.
anybody that knows, it does, it pulls you out. You're like, whoa, wait a minute.
Yeah.
No, no. That don't work, We do have a question, another question from Eva, Vamp Chat with Dan and Eva in the chat. She wants to know who is your favorite character
Captain Hook,
from
of
Neverland.
course. Captain Hook. He is
Uh-huh.
he is so complex. He is so manipulative, so deep, and his background is so mysterious. So as I was telling you, J.M. Barrie would throw out a description of the characters, and with Captain Hook, he says a few lines, and he says, if his real name, if his true name were known, even today, it would set the country aflame. So I got to take and write his backstory, and I suppose in my interpretation, Captain Hook was close to the crown. That's
Hmm.
why it would set the
Ooh.
country aflame. And so I have supplied why he had to leave England, why he became a pirate. How did this aristocrat, because he is aristocratic, he went to Eton, to this fancy public school.
Yes, yes.
And so I had to suppose all that, and it just came together beautifully. And as I said, I made him everything that J.M. Barrie said he was, and more.
Hmm. Yeah,
Nice.
that makes sense. Yeah, because all the portrayals, he does have an air about
He
him.
does.
Oh,
That's, yeah,
And
definitely.
and
yeah.
Barry, of course, I laugh because he says he would always, he would change clothes all day. This is how proper Englishmen are. They change clothes between the morning clothes, the afternoon clothes, the dinner clothes. And he says
Yeah.
he would change his clothing between grappling a ship and boarding her.
And then he has his tea. The way he holds his teacup, got that finger up. Yeah, he has his tea. Ah,
And in book four, The Wider World, I am able to delve even more deeply into his backstory. So in Hook and Jill, I explain how he
ooh,
became a pirate, how he became a pirate king. And in The Wider World, part of his past comes to him. And he must deal with some things that happened before he left England. And it rounds out his character beautifully. I'm very pleased with the way it all turned out. And of course,
Well,
he's deeply
fun.
handsome, very handsome, very attractive, very
well,
seductive.
well, I tell you what, I listening to you talk about this tonight, I am highly intrigued, and I need to check this series out.
My
It
I
sounds
know. I know.
fantastic. Yeah, it sounds fantastic, and since we we want everybody to go out and check it out themselves. Tell folks, yeah, where to get it, and then also where to
wonderful.
find you so they can follow
Yes.
you.
And I will mention too that as of September 18th, just in time for Talk Like a Pirate Day, this book, The Hook and Jill, the first book, will be on NetGalley and available for booksellers and reviewers to read and comment.
Nice. Okay, so on
Fun.
September the 18th.
Hmm.
September the 18th. All right.
That's right.
But and so where do you want folks to follow you as far as
I am on Facebook at Hook and Jill on Facebook. All you have to do is type in Hook and Jill and you'll find me. And my website is hookandjill.com. And there are links to all kinds of interesting things. There are articles I've written, there are the awards we've won, there are descriptions of the books, there are the cover images. Discussion questions for book clubs are on the media page because I'm in a couple of book clubs and we can never find the questions. The publishers don't seem to supply them. So I made sure that the book club questions are listed on the media page of my website, hookandjill.com. There are also links to articles I've written and other reviews, etc.
Sounds good. Sounds good. And is there anything as we bring the show near the end here? We always want to give you a chance to talk about anything that we didn't cover in the show, like maybe you have some events coming up that you want to promote, or
Yes.
anything you wanted to mention that we didn't cover in the show. Now's your time.
Right. Well, I'm going to be this weekend, Labor Day weekend. I will be, and I'm usually there every Labor Day weekend, the Big River Steampunk Festival in Hannibal, Missouri, and that's
Ooh.
always the wonderful event. There's lots to do and lots to see, and of course, everyone dresses in their best steampunk garb. I'm so amazed at the creativity that the steampunk crowd brings. Another good one is TeslaCon. I won't be there this year. I was there last year. That is in November in Wisconsin, in Madison. And again, everyone dresses it with wonderful themes. I've seen the Steampunk Wizard of Oz group, or etc. You know,
Ooh.
they take the theme that they want and they make these very creative steampunk outfits out of them. So those are two steampunk festivals. I won't be at TeslaCon this year, but I will be at the Big River Steampunk Festival. But go to my appearances page if you want to find good fairs and see where I've been and where I'm going. And I recommend all of those. I go anywhere they dress in garb. I go to Highland festivals, tall ships festivals, pirate festivals, Renaissance fairs, and steampunk, etc. So just go to my appearances page if you want to find some where I'll be next and where I have been.
Well, you will love Imaginarium because there is many people in garb there too.
Yes.
Looking
We
forward.
have our steamship captain,
I
oh
am.
captain, and we have many little groups like that.
Yes.
We may get the
Yes, we do.
Ghostbusters back. They're fun.
Yep, yep, yeah. They're a lot of fun too. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to meeting you in person. And the workshop sounds fantastic, and
Yes, it does.
your series sounds fantastic. And
Thank
yeah,
you.
I'm gonna have to get underway on checking this one out for sure. Because
Well,
I
I would tell everyone, welcome back to Neverland.
yes, and
Love
yes,
it.
and thank you for standing up for Jan Barrie and doing the
Yes.
restorative work. I have to say that as an author who am very protective of my work.
Yes.
Thank you, yeah, for doing that.
It was a pleasure. And I want
Yeah,
everyone to know that J.M. Barrie wrote many, many
yeah.
other works other than
Mhm.
Peter and Wendy and Peter Pan the play. And I recommend them all. He was brilliant, and
Mhm.
nobody writes like J.M. Barrie. His style is truly unique.
Well, thank you very
Huh.
much, yeah, and for joining us tonight. And yeah, really appreciate your time. And yeah, I'm gonna turn it over to Holly to close out the show. But
And thank you.
definitely want you back. Yeah, in the future for sure. Yeah, so we can
Yes.
continue
Keep
on
us
our
in the loop.
journey to Neverland with you. So
A pleasure.
Yes. And it is such an intriguing story, as you were saying. There's so many different levels
Yeah.
and different character arcs, and yeah, it's definitely masterful, to say the least.
Everyone grows, the story is
Yeah.
about growing up, and everyone, even Captain Hook, learns and grows throughout the series.
Yes, it definitely has masterful character development, which
Thank,
is very important to any story. Yeah, yeah, well done, and I cannot wait to dive into your books and see your take on it. I'm looking very forward to it, and I will be watching out for your emails so we can get your workshop on the books and
I'll do
get
it.
that announced. Sounds fun.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you for being such a great guest. And wow, this really went quick. We talked about a lot of things. Very cool, very cool subject. And yeah, look forward to chatting with you again soon.
Wonderful. And everyone enjoy. This is the 120th year of Neverland.
Nice, nice.
awesome.
Well, thank you. And you have a wonderful rest of your week.
Will do.
All right. Everybody out there in Listener Land, Neverland, if you will, Join us next Wednesday night, same place, same time, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard. Another great guest, another great chat for the rest of the week. Be creative. Good night, all.